Welcome. In this lesson, we are going to be setting up our dice roller game. So there are a few things that we need to set up before we begin with the JavaScript, and that's the CSS as well as the HTML. So creating our basic HTML structure, we're going to start with a main div that's going to contain all of our game area. So we can call that game area, and we can have all of the gameplay occurring within the game area. Next, set up a div. We can give it an ID. So how about we use IDs, and we can give it an ID of output. So this is where we can provide messaging to the players as to what the dice roll was and who is the winner and so on. Next, we need a container area for player 1, and this can be a div as well. And we also need one for player 2. So the player 1 is the player on the computer, and the player 2 is going to be actually the computer. And we also need a button in order to initiate the rolling of the dice. So we'll set up a button, give it some HTML inner text there of roll. So that's set up. Also, we need to add in a little bit of CSS. So we've got player 1 and player 2. So both of those. And we can do inline block, setting up a default width, add a border so that we can see it. Add some padding as well, and we'll make this really big, so 7 EM. Also want to add some styling to the output area, and of course you can customize the styling as needed. Then lastly, let's add some styling to the button and set a width for the button to be the same as the player area. So let's try that out and refresh it. I'll make this a little bit smaller so that all shows up on one page. So there we have our basic structure and setup. We want the button to be clickable. When the button gets clicked, then we're going to output some information for the player and determine who wins within this dice game. So go ahead and set this up. You don't have to do the styling exactly as I've done. This was only for demonstration purposes so that we have a nice layout to build out the game. And coming up next, it's going to be JavaScript, all JavaScript, building out all of the gameplay and what gets displayed to the player and all the interaction and dynamic content. So that is all still yet to come.